I just want to chip in this question because a lot of us Nigerian Christians, we're so conflicted in this topic that a lot of people are saying Christians are not supposed to do it. It's for the Jews and this. Now, in the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 1, the Bible talks about tithes. Let me read it so you can see that it's from also the Old Testament. Okay, Malachi chapter 3, verse 10. It says, "Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in my house. And prove me now therewith, said the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be any room enough to receive it." Now, this talks about tithing, 1/10, and this is in the Old Testament. In fact, the last book of the Old Testament. And as Christians, a lot of people are conflicting that it is kind of frauding people. As Christians, we don't have to pay tithe. Instead, we have to give generously because Jesus never taught about tithe. So, how was tithe? How did tithe originate, the concept of tithe?
Okay.
And who are those? Are people still paying tithe today in the Jewish religion?
Okay. Yeah. First of all, the beautiful thing is that you read it from Malachi, and the first time this word even appears in the Bible is when it's been said by, you know what? Let's read it.
Okay.
Open Genesis 14:17.
Genesis, guys, now we're talking about tithing. Genesis chapter 14.
So now they're going to listen. It's about money? Now we should listen.
Now we should listen.
14:17. We'll start there and read till 14:23.
All right. Genesis chapter 14, verse 17. It says, "And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the..."
Should I give some background to the story?
Yes, please.
Okay. So this is Lot, the nephew of Abraham, was in captivity.
All right.
There was a war. 4 kings from Damascus came and fought 5 kings around the southern part of Canaan.
Okay.
And the 4 kings won the war, and they took Abraham's nephew, Lot, with everything he had, the property, the slaves, the camels, whatever he had. They took it with them to the north, to Damascus, around Damascus. Abraham took 317 of his students.
Okay.
He gave them swords. They went after them to save his nephew. They succeeded. They got there. They beat them. They took the property, and they came back with everything. Now they're coming back, and that's where you're starting from.
All right, good. So Genesis chapter 14, verse 17. "And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Chedorlaomer, and of the kings that were with him at the valley of Shaveh, which is the king's dale. And Melchizedek..."
Melchizedek.
Okay, yeah.
Connect the name to where you read it from?
From...
No, where you read the
Malachi.
Exactly.
All right. Okay. "And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. And he blessed him and said, Blessed be Abraham of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be the Most High God, which had delivered thine enemies into thy hand. And he gave him tithes of all."
Now, this phrase, this verse and this whole part that you just read tells you that Abraham came back with all the property that he just won in war, the loot of war. And technically, it's legitimately his. He can now own those things. He just won it at war. And this king, Melchizedek, comes out, and he's a salesman. And he comes and he's trying to sell Abraham why Abraham should give him something. Okay. So he goes to Abraham and he says, "Oh, bless you and bless the Lord that help you fight everyone."
In Nigerian pidgin, we say whining. He whines him, right?
Yeah, exactly. He came out with wine. So he even came out with wine. So it even connects. So he comes out and he's greasing him. How you said. He's greasing him. "Oh, bless you for winning, and bless God for helping you win. And bless God that gives you the 10th out of everything he has. Or it's misunderstood a little bit also in Hebrew, whether God gives you a tenth of everything he has, or whether bless you for giving God a tenth of everything you have.
Okay.
Either way, what he's telling Abraham is, can you please give me a tenth at least? Something. Throw me a bone, my friend. Give me something. So that's the way he's trying to grease Abraham, or greet Abraham in this case. But the idea is listen to what Abraham answers for that.
Okay. Which part should I read further?
I think just continue exactly at the same 23. Yeah.
Yeah. So verse 21. And the king of Sodom said unto Abram, give me the persons and take the goods to thyself. And Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up mine hand unto the Lord, the Most High God, the possessor of heaven and earth, that I will not take from a thread even to a shoe latchet, and that I will not take anything that is thine, lest thou shouldest say, I have made Abram rich.
Stop here. Abraham answers to him, not only that I will give you, I understand that I'm not an idiot. I know what you're doing. I will not give you only 10%, like you're implying.
Yeah.
I'm giving you everything. I will not even take a shoelace out of what I just won and more. I'm going to take my nephew, his property is his property.
So I'm just going to leave everything to you.
You can take everything. You know why? So you wouldn't say that you made me rich. Now, the word tenth in Hebrew, the word 10 in Hebrew is esel.
Okay.
10, esel. The word rich in Hebrew is ashir. And there is a phrase in Hebrew that says that a rich person is the one who is satisfied with whatever he has. And it also comes from here. That means that even if you have only 10% of what you have right now, be satisfied. That's what God wanted. Vice versa, even if you think you don't have enough, give 10% to someone else, and you'll see that you'll still manage. And that's the concept that I see in this story. Even 10% can make you rich. Even a shoelace can make you rich, as long as you're satisfied with what you have. And if you read it on the other side, that that you give God 10% of everything you have, then think of how funny is this, because also Jacob says that to God. He tells God, if you take care of me when I'm crossing, he goes to find a wife, right?
Okay.
He goes to Lavan's house.
Yeah.
His uncle. So on the way, he says, God, if you'll take care of me, if you'll give me all I need, and if you'll bring me back safely, I'll give you 10%. So that's what is that, a joke? I'm going to give you $100 and you're going to give me back $10? How does that make sense? You'll take care of me and I'll give you back 10%. But that's exactly that. That's to show you that God gives you with open hands. But he wants you to give back a little bit so you'll know where you got it from. Just to recognize where you got it from. God doesn't need it back. He doesn't need those $10 back out of 100. But he wants you to recognize that you know where you got it from. So whether Christians should give the 10% or not give the 10%, that's your choice. But understand the concept.
Okay.
That's the idea. If you're feeling that you shouldn't give it to the church, no problem. Take 10% of your salary
and give to
the poor. Give to a friend in need. But just to recognize that it's not yours. It came from God.
That's deep.
Yeah.
And somebody is asking that God stated it in Leviticus that a tenth should be given to the tribe of Levi because they are priests who serve the Lord God and other supplication to him on behalf of the people.
True.
So do the Levites, or are they still Levites today in Israel?
No. They are, but they don't act as Levites. They don't act as priests. Now, the question is, it's a very good question, but you need to understand the context. God is giving or telling the Israelites to give 10% to the Levites because they cannot have land or a house to own any property. So they need to have something to live from.
Yeah.
That's why. If your priest at your church has properties, then technically you should not give him 10%. Now, I'm not, again, the idea is to give 10%.
This is what we call violence.
Listen, I don't want to ruin any conception. Listen, the idea is that you give the 10% to feel that you gave it to a good cause.
Okay.
If giving your priest 10% to maintain this church, that giving that brings the word of God and that helps you maintain being a good person, then that's a good cause to give 10%. It's not about being committed or not. You're not committed.
But in that same, when God commanded, the Levites or to take tax, they're also from those taxes to give to the poor. I think that was the cause. No,
actually no. There are two different 10% that Israelites need to give.
Okay.
10% to the Levites and another 10% to the poor.
Okay, all right. So for the Levites, 10%. To the poor. So that's 20%.
Yeah. But don't forget, those priests were the government. There weren't just spiritual people talking to people, giving them lectures or so. They were the government.
Okay.
There was no different government aside from Moses and the priests. So they had a job to do.
So it's like tax.
Exactly. So if you're paying to the government already, then
because also talking about the concept of that, because once I listened to I read Napoleon Hill, Rich Dad Poor Man, and he said that if you want to be successful, you have to give 10%. That's what people who are on their path to riches, or that's what they do. There's just a universal law about. It's not about even Christianity or any religion.
When you are not afraid to give, then you open your arms to get. Wow. That's how it works.